NBC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
Colin Jost just went in on Meghan Markle on SNL, and the roast wasn't lighthearted. It was savage. This isn't just comedy anymore. It's open season, and the whole late-night world seems united in tearing these two apart. That trade deal joke? Pure fire. He basically called Meghan and Harry America's unwanted imports that we're desperately trying to ship back to Britain.
Turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing.
If you had lunch with Meghan Markle, you'd be stunned at how dumb she was. Not because she's black, because she's an actress who was on the show Suits.
The crowd lost it, but the sting behind that punchline was brutal. And then came the Harry-Elon Musk comparison. Jost clowned him by saying Harry's wasting time the same way Musk wastes time online, both making reckless choices despite sitting on piles of success.
Harry starts describing this one date with Meghan as the night, let me quote you here, "Me and M pulled the pin on a fun grenade. I actually started rooting for Prince Andrew."
That one cut deep, but believe it or not, it wasn't even the worst of it. Because when Stephen Colbert stepped in, he didn't play games. He hit Harry straight to his face on live TV with a line so cold, the prince nearly crumbled right there under the spotlight.
They should hope that the kid looks more like Meghan than Harry. No offense, but Harry kind of looks like the guy who played Screech, may he rest in peace.
Gone on Oprah, I didn't know. I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. They're the original racists.
And trust me, this massacre of jokes goes deeper than anyone expected. The reason that joke landed so hard is because it flipped their entire fairy tale upside down.
President Trump also announced a new trade deal with the UK that will reopen British markets for American companies. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
Instead of the glamorous story of a Hollywood actress marrying a prince, the punchline painted Meghan as the one dragging along a washed-up husband who adds absolutely nothing to the table. Brutal doesn't even begin to describe it. They even mocked their wedding itself, with Michael Che dropping one of the coldest takes about what that marriage really stood for.
Built electric cars, he's going to Mars. Why is he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits.
And the beauty of it? He tore away all the shiny crowns, castles, and royal fantasy talk, reducing Harry to exactly what he looks like without his titles. Just another privileged guy lounging off family money. That hit the audience like a slap.
NBC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
But it didn't stop there. Stephen Colbert piled on by roasting their corny pet names and immature antics. The sarcasm was dripping because everyone knows how cringe their little M and H branding is to normal grown adults who don't need cutesy nicknames to feel important. Then Jimmy Fallon jumped into the roast session, pointing straight at Meghan's content, calling out how pointless, confusing, and flat-out dull it really is. One sharp joke summed up her entire public persona. All hype, no substance, and absolutely no direction. Taking something basic and twisting it into a circus for no reason at all. That's Meghan and Harry's whole brand.
Earlier today, Suits actress Meghan Markle married some unemployed dude who still lives with his grandma.
The late-night verdict was unanimous. These two aren't royalty anymore. They're the industry's biggest running joke. And the mockery didn't just stay on SNL. It spread like wildfire across every major stage, with host after host lining up to roast the so-called power couple. Jimmy Kimmel came swinging with one of the sharpest observations about their dramatic escape from Britain. He called out the absurd logic. If you're truly trying to flee racism, why would you run straight into America, a country infamous for it?
Meghan Markle has finally revealed why she and Prince Harry call each other M and H.
And he'll say M and you'll say H and your friends say M and it just is a thing.
It's a thing.
And do you both love it?
Yes, and I like nicknames a lot.
What could it be? A mystery for the ages.
The crowd gasped, then laughed, because the hypocrisy was laid out plain. And Kimmel wasn't even done. He went in harder, comparing Prince Harry to the actor who played Screech on Saved by the Bell. That was savage beyond repair, because it ripped away any leftover dignity Harry might have been clinging to. The visual burned into everyone's head, and people couldn't stop talking about it. But believe it or not, the most vicious jab didn't even come from Kimmel. It came when Joe Coy took the Golden Globe stage and delivered a Netflix joke so brutal, it cracked open the one problem Meghan and Harry can never hide from. They bring zero value to society, and yet somehow still rake in millions from Netflix for shows that flop harder than a bad pilot nobody remembers. It feels like the ultimate scam, getting rewarded for failure.
This is what happens when you bring the first black woman into the royal family. She looked at Harry and she's like, nigga, you need to get a job. You a grown-ass man. You can't still be living in your mama's house, Harry.
But then Trevor Noah came in swinging with something even colder. He roasted Meghan for basically dragging Harry out of his family, like he was some broke boyfriend she kicked off the couch. The audience howled because Noah nailed the power dynamic. Meghan didn't marry a prince. She turned him into her personal side project. And yet, as harsh as that was, it still wasn't the lowest blow. Stephen Colbert looked Harry dead in the eye and said something so raw about being a good man that the prince nearly folded right there on live TV. We'll get to that painful exchange soon, but first you need to see how wild the mockery got once other stars jumped in on the roast.
Now, I was curious what they did with Harry and Meghan's wax figures, so I found a museum employee who's temporarily storing them.
Conan O'Brien turned their Madame Tussauds wax figures into a full comedy sketch, and the setup seemed innocent enough until he flipped it into something completely deranged. He started riffing on Meghan's delicate hands and Harry's soft lips, like even their wax replicas were begging to be clowned. It was so over the top it crossed every boundary.
Why does Meghan Markle make her own pretzel bags? They don't know why.
That's interesting. She takes it from one bag and puts it in another bag.
There's another bag.
And that confuses people.
But that was the point. It proved these two aren't admired anymore. They're playthings for late-night comedy. And then came Alexandra Daddario, revealing how Meghan's chaos even seeped into her personal life. She admitted the Duchess ruins everything she touches, all because of her non-stop craving for attention. That one stung because it showed Meghan's bad energy reaches way beyond Harry and straight into Hollywood itself. The fact that Meghan simply showing up at a yoga studio could spark panic among regular members says it all. Her brand has become a symbol of chaos and unwanted intrusion.
Harry said racism was a big part of their decision to leave, which you know things are bad at Buckingham Palace if they came to America to get away from racism.
People weren't worried about fitness. They were worried about their quiet escape being hijacked by Meghan's non-stop thirst for cameras and photo ops. Alexandra Daddario was clearly fed up, admitting her personal sanctuary was about to be overrun just because Meghan wanted another headline. And the frustration was real. Meghan drops by once for staged publicity, and suddenly the place turns into a circus with paparazzi and fans flooding in, leaving genuine members robbed of their peace. That's how toxic her presence has become.
Oliver, you have generously offered to keep the wax figures of Harry and Meghan safe.
Yeah, that's correct. And if I may, I would just like to say that I'm definitely not using the wax figures for sex stuff.
Then Ricky Gervais stepped up with a story that shredded Harry's reputation even further, spotlighting his entitled behavior in public. The punchline? It showed just how little basic respect he has for everyday people. Ricky painted Harry as a billionaire who refuses to shell out a few $100s for entertainment tickets, while the rest of the world pays their way without complaint. The joke hit perfectly because it exposed the absurdity of a man born into privilege still acting like he's owed everything for free. It was entitlement put on blast, and the audience loved every second of it. John Mulaney didn't just roast Harry. He obliterated him with one of the harshest and most accurate takedowns ever delivered by a comedian.
They are in a loving home, and I treat them better than the museum ever did. They didn't appreciate Meghan's soft hands or Harry's supple lip.
He mocked Harry's decision-making, calling him out for ditching his royal duties and turning his back on his elderly grandmother. The punchline was brutal, framing Harry as nothing more than a dumb ginger who tossed away centuries of tradition for a short-term thrill. The crowd's reaction said it all. They knew it was savage, but also painfully true. But then Tim Dillon stormed in and took the roast to an even higher level, slicing straight through the polished PR image Meghan tries so hard to maintain.
Is this true? Meghan Markle has ruined your workout regime. Is this true? If so, how?
Yes, she has.
How?
His observations were viciously sharp, exposing her as grating, insufferable, and flat-out unbearable, no matter her background or royal title. He didn't sugarcoat it, and that's why people connected with the joke instantly. And the Suits reference? That one stung the hardest. Dillon pointed out how Meghan's entire Hollywood resume boiled down to a second-tier cable show, proving her actual talent and experience were paper-thin. The implication was clear. She didn't climb to the top on merit. She climbed by strategically locking down a prince.
Well, she came into New York last weekend.
Yeah.
And she went to a yoga place called Moto Yoga, which is my yoga place. It's where I always go.
Even black families have conversations about skin tone, which instantly made the royal family's so-called curiosity seem far less unique or offensive. But it was Bro Keane who came through with maybe the most devastating breakdown of all, after actually forcing himself to sit through Meghan and Harry's Netflix documentary. His review wasn't just negative, it was a full demolition job. He admitted he started watching with an open mind, ready to give them a fair chance. By the end, he despised them even more.
They have places in LA and New York, but now that she went there, everyone's going to want to go there. And there's not going to be any room. It's going to be harder to get into.
That transformation alone showed how badly their own content backfired, wrecking their reputation instead of saving it. Bro Keane roasted their nauseating H&M nickname obsession, saying it made them look childish and fake to any normal adult forced to sit through it.
Once at a gig, at the back was Harry and William, Madonna and Paul McCartney. Not one of them paid.
The so-called fun grenade line, he shredded it as one of the most pretentious, self-important phrases ever uttered on camera. He joked it was so bad, it actually made him prefer Prince Andrew. And that's about as damning as it gets. And his curtsy criticism? Spot on. Harry looked clueless about his own family's most basic traditions, fumbling like a tourist instead of someone born into the role. That clip alone made him look disconnected, awkward, and painfully unfit for the very institution he abandoned. The irony was glaring. The documentary meant to humanize them ended up humiliating them instead.
Prince Harry has entered the chat. You dumb ginger. You leave your title because you don't like your 94-year-old grandma? That's the definition of something you wait out, gangsta.
Finally, their endless whining about security payments exposed just how entitled they really are. Imagine expecting taxpayers to foot the bill for round-the-clock protection while you're living as private citizens, cashing in millions from book deals and Netflix contracts. That was the breaking point. And by then, the comedy world had already agreed. Meghan and Harry were open targets for unlimited mockery.
If you came up with the picture of an annoying, insufferable white woman, it would be Meghan Markle, even though she's not white.
But the mockery didn't just stay on stage. It leveled up when animated shows started shredding their image with zero restraint. South Park dropped the ultimate nuke on their carefully crafted victim narrative, and it was brutal. The writers captured the ridiculousness of two ultra-privileged people crying about their suffering, while simultaneously cashing checks for telling that same story over and over again. The hypocrisy was almost too easy to expose. And they didn't stop there. The show zoomed in on Harry's most laughable contradiction.
You should write a book because your family like stupid and then so are like journalists. So you hate journalists. That's right. And now you wrote a book that reports on the lives of the royal family. Right. So you're a journalist.
His never-ending hatred for journalists. Yet, what does he do? He basically becomes one himself, writing a tell-all book spilling his family's deepest secrets for profit. The irony was too perfect, and the audience knew it. South Park didn't just mock them. It tore down the whole illusion of Meghan and Harry as victims, leaving nothing but comedy ashes behind. Then came the biggest lie of all, the so-called privacy excuse. Meghan and Harry claimed they just wanted to live like normal people. But
we just want to be normal people. All this attention is so hard. Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines?
But at the exact same time, they were chasing every camera, signing TV deals, and posing for glossy fashion magazines. South Park nailed the contradiction so perfectly, it was painful to watch. The show ripped apart their ridiculous double game, demanding privacy while constantly pumping out Instagram posts, Netflix specials, and staged paparazzi shots. You can't beg the world to leave you alone and then schedule photo ops at every yoga studio and charity event you attend. The hypocrisy was too obvious, and South Park roasted them without mercy. One of the sharpest bits mocked their dramatic escape from Canada, exposing it as nothing more than another stunt to keep the spotlight burning. The infamous privacy chant, while literally moving somewhere to get more attention? Pure comedy gold. It captured exactly how Meghan and Harry manipulate public sympathy while feeding their obsession with relevance. And the ending scene cut through all the spin.
What are you suggesting? Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy.
Their true mission wasn't to live privately. It was to find a place where people would pretend to believe they wanted normalcy while they kept chasing headlines. That was the dagger. And it wasn't just South Park. Across the pond, Spitting Image joined in with its own savage portrayal of their California lifestyle, making it clear this wasn't just an American joke anymore. the ridicule had gone global. Living in a mansion down the street from Oprah while crying about privacy perfectly summed up the never-ending contradiction of Meghan and Harry's California strategy. Every move they made was dressed up as independence from the media, but in reality, it was a giant publicity machine built on smoke and mirrors.
The emperor in that, Marcus Aurelius, favorite quote in the world. He said, "Let us have an end to this debate about what makes a good man and be one." Isn't that nice?
There you go.
You can use that.
Good knowledge.
You can use that.
The lies were almost laughable. Spitting Image hammered that point home, showing how Harry didn't escape control at all. He just traded one leash for another. In Britain, he followed the Queen's rules. In California, he follows Meghan's orders, and the skit made that comparison crystal clear. The supposed freedom looked even more restrictive under Meghan's grip, and audiences couldn't stop laughing at how painfully accurate it was. And then came the polo scene, the dagger that sealed it. Harry couldn't even play a harmless game in his own living room without Meghan swooping in to shut him down. The power dynamic was on full display. He wasn't a prince anymore, he was a prop in Meghan's storyline. By this point, the animated parodies and the live-action roasts had reached the same conclusion. Meghan and Harry weren't untouchable figures of royalty, they were punchlines. But nothing compared to the most devastating moment of all, when Stephen Colbert turned to Harry on live TV and dropped a line that nearly shattered him in front of the world. Stephen Colbert unknowingly dropped a reality check that went straight to Harry's core. When Harry proudly said his favorite movie was Gladiator, Colbert instantly fired back with a Marcus Aurelius quote from the film, and the weight of it crushed the prince on live TV. The look on Harry's face said it all. He knew the line wasn't just banter, it was a mirror held up to his own failures. By this point, the bigger picture couldn't be clearer. Harry and Meghan had fully morphed into entertainment's ultimate punchline. From late-night stages to animated parodies, every corner of comedy reached the same conclusion. These two are fair game for endless ridicule, and nobody's pulling punches anymore. Because here's the harsh truth. When even cartoon characters won't give you basic respect, your reputation is already in ruins. The question now isn't whether Meghan and Harry can bounce back. It's far darker than that. Will anyone, anywhere, ever take them seriously again?